So the weather kind of turned on us. So we're I'm back out in the cave out here. I got that new tractor, and I just as soon as I got it, I mean, I've just been out trying to fix my yard. Um, and I did it all the way up until I don't know if any of you guys are in Michigan, but this year the fall was just, it's endless rain. And the problem I'm trying to fix in my yard is that I have a serious drainage problem. My entire backyard fills up full of water. So there's a combination of digging trenches and putting in drains, and mostly filling, though, mostly just having dirt dropped off and filling. So it really preoccupied my time up until we got so much rain that it just, my entire yard turned into a swamp. And right around the same time it started getting cold anyway, so I put the tractor in the garage for hibernation. And I did get to work on get back to work on the boat some. I guess I'll talk about that in a minute, but I guess I just wanted to share I haven't talked about this my little Polaris, I don't think, at all in any of my videos. But I bought this thing new in 17, but it was pretty much completely, it was stripped right down. I bought it with the plow, the winch, the roof, and I got a windshield with it too, a Polaris non-hard coated windshield, which proved to be completely garbage. You couldn't even wipe it with a microfiber cloth without scratching it. It was junk. So ever since I bought this machine, it's just been kind of stupid to me. I felt like I bought an incomplete vehicle, because it's mid-Michigan. It's the fact is it's cold here for the majority of the year, and it got really cold, and this thing just kind of sat. It just sat out there and got snowed in, and I didn't even hardly use it for plowing, because I would just bring the company truck home and knock out my driveway, because it just, I'm getting older. Like, I'm not going to sit out there and freeze my ass off. So ever since right when I bought the machine, I started putting money away, and you throw a little money in that same fund from side work, side projects and stuff like that. And I somehow exercised enough restraint to wait until I had enough money to do like everything that I wanted to do to this thing in like one weekend. Just because I thought it'd be fun, just roll it in here and then just completely transform the thing and turn it into a all-season vehicle. Like I feel like I'm making a payment on this thing, and for most of the year it's just sitting out there. It's just stupid. You're paying to insure it, you're paying the payment on it, and you really don't even want to bother with even using it. I'm not going to go take it out four-wheeling, nothing. I'd take the Jeep. Jeep's got a cab heater. It's got everything. You can drive down the highway. It's street legal. So the Ranger just sat. I only used it if I absolutely had to, just around the property, So I waited around. I had enough money, and I don't even want to talk about how much money I spent. But the main thing here is the doors. That was the biggest chunk. I don't know if any of you guys got mid-size or full-size machines. You probably know what these doors cost. And let me tell you, they're astronomically priced. Take whatever you think they cost, if you don't know what they cost, and like quadruple it. They're unbelievable. Yeah, so I was basically on the mindset, like, no matter what these doors looked like when I got them home, I was going to be disappointed, period. And I still, that's still the case. They're ridiculous what Polaris gets with these things. But the aftermarket is just really not there for a mid-size Polaris for full doors. There's not really any other good options. There's a few other companies that make full doors that cost almost as much as these do, and they're just not as good as these doors. These are really nice doors. I mean, yes, they're ridiculous, and I can't believe what you pay for them, but they fit the machine extremely well. I mean, they use, you know, your original mounting brackets that are they're already on the sorry, I'm getting used to my camera thing here again. They're already on the machine, you know, so they just kind of flop right on there. You know, they're super simple to install. They fit, you know, because these machines got this profiled tubing, you know, so they're made for these doors, and they're really high quality. These ones, I know the full size ones I think are different, but the mid size ones, these have like a slider window that, you know, I know some of them have like hinged windows. The full size ones that you can get roll up and power windows and everything, but that works great for me. I don't know, I think that's fine. And they are glass. They're really nice. They're pretty good quality. They're better than I was expecting. So I don't know. That's the main thing into making this thing you know, compatible with the cold weather. So I got a new windshield. You can see it's an EMP one. This is my second hard-coated EMP windshield. I broke the first one when I laid the thing on the side, and no, I don't even want to talk about when that happened. So this is my third windshield. So yeah, hopefully my last one. I don't know. But these are hard-coated ones are really nice. It takes a lot to scratch these things. I mean, you can put them through hell, and then you just go over them with glass cleaner, and they spiff right back up again. They're definitely worth the extra money getting hard coated. And I put this is just a cheapo Amazon 42-inch curved light bar. It was dirt cheap. They don't make brackets for a mid-size. Again, you know, they make them for a full size. To mount a light bar. These brackets are for a Jeep Cherokee, so they're riveted in place, and they work pretty well. Apparently, there's guys that have run 52-inch bars with these same brackets. It just depends on how much you want to bend them. I had to bend them in a little bit in order to work with that bar. So, but like I said, the light bar is cheapo Chinese. We'll see how long it holds up. Don't really care. Back here, I put 2 reverse pods. I just whipped up these quick little brackets out of aluminum. I'll probably end up getting them powder coated or something at some point in time. This one I put a little antenna in, which I'll show you the stereo that we put in it. Here's another EMP. This is a hard-coated rear window. This is I haven't had to replace this yet. This is the first one I had. You put a windshield in the front of it, you realize that you want a window in the back too because of the air swirling up into the cab. So it wasn't long after I got the first windshield, I put this in there, and you can see it's cracked up there, right where that mount is from that same incident that I'm not going to mention. And this is just a cool little toolbox. There's a couple companies that make these for them. Polaris makes them too, but you know, it's a slick little unit. It's weather sealed. It's lockable. It's just got little posts out here to engage into the lock and ride, or whatever they call it, the Polaris, you know, so you can move it around wherever you want.
So in here, originally, you have just the four-wheel drive switch and then a couple of blanks. So you can see one of them is the heater, the new heater I put in it, and the other one is a winch switch. I've always had the the lanyard that comes with a winch or whatever, and it would plug in right there. So I'd have the cord slung through the interior, like over the steering wheel when you're trying to plow, and it was just annoying as hell. So I'll probably still use that when you're four-wheeling or whatever. You can stand outside the machine and winch and see what the hell's going on. But when you're plowing, it's way nicer to just use that, your switch on your dash. So you can see with the Inferno heater, whatever it's called, you got to mount the vents yourself. So you got to cut the holes in the dash for those. I went with the aftermarket with the heater because the Polaris one puts the controller in here, and then I don't know if you can kind of see this big pocket down here. This little outline right here is where the heater assembly actually sits. So you lose a ton of interior storage with the Polaris heater. You lose that pocket and half of your big cubby down there in the bottom. So I wasn't a real big fan of that. This way you just a switch, and you mount the vents wherever the hell you want. I got those two up there, and I put the other two. You probably can't even see the little guys, but yeah, you're not gonna be able to see it. But they're on the bottom, underneath both of the cup holders. So then this is a company down in Florida, I think, that makes these overhead speaker console things. It's nothing fancy. It's 6.5-inch speakers. There's no, they make it specifically so it fits this machine. You got these little mounting brackets that go up into the roof. So it's a pretty, I'm not gonna probably be listening to music in this thing anyway. I'll be listening to talk radio and getting pissed off. So, but I just put the same thing, cheap old like $35 Amazon. As long as it had Bluetooth, I didn't care. Like I said, I'm just gonna listen to the radio and some cheap Pioneer speakers. Cool thing too is these things got dome light or dope scope built right into it, which is pretty slick. So I showed you in the dash where you only have two extra slots for switches. So for the lights, I put them over here. Camera's having a hard time focusing here, but there's a little bezel. There you go. Amazon, you can buy this little universal like 2-switch bezel, which is pretty cool. It kind of gives it a little more finished look, So there was like a sticker right here, and I just had to remove the sticker and cut the hole in the dash for this bezel. And the switches are all like, there's a lot of them. It's kind of neat. You can stick to like the same series of switch, so they look, somewhat similar, all of them. I was trying to make it look as OEM as possible, but so this thing came with a battery that it looked like something out of a Power Wheels. It never started very well ever since it was brand new. Especially when it would get cold, and they always tell, well, you're gonna have to keep it on a tender in the wintertime. Like, I shouldn't have to keep it on a tender. Do I have to keep my vehicles on a tender in the wintertime? No. So finally the battery died. It's only 2 years old.
And like I said, it's like this big. It's ridiculous. So I was bouncing around on Facebook, I think, and I'd seen a guy that said that he put a 51 or 50 series Honda Civic battery, and then it fit really well into the tray. So I went and got it's a Motorcraft, but it's a 51R. It's made for a Honda Civic. They're really skinny. They're long, but they're skinny. And they do technically drop into the tray. The tray on these is meant to accommodate two different size batteries. So you could step up with like an OEM, a little bit larger battery from the one that this came with. This came with like a 14 amp hour. I think you could put a 30 amp hour in there, and it would go in the same tray. So this was obviously way bigger than either of those, but it does technically fit in the tray, and I tried to make it so I could use the original rubber strap to hold the battery down, but I tried and made brackets and it didn't work, so I ended up having to make that aluminum tie-down brace, and I just drilled holes in the machine down there and used threaded rod and bent the end of the threaded rod, so it was like a little L bolt, and it's worked really good so far. And these terminals I found on, I think, Amazon, again, for cheap, which is kind of cool. They have a little 6mm and 8mm studs on them, which is perfect for all the original cables coming in here. So that came out pretty good. It cleaned up really well, and it's 500 cold cranking amps, so this thing just zings right over now with that car battery in it. These are the two harnesses coming across here with the to run the lights. I bought those on Amazon too. Like, I was gonna make my own harnesses, my own fuse holders, my own relay holders, and all that crap, like I normally do. But these light harnesses were like $10, and they were perfect. The length. They have one that's set up for 2 lights, and they have one that's set up for 1 light. And they're all covered in this nice black coating, and they were just long enough to pick up all of these lights, with very little excess. Like, for $10, I mean, they're already set right up, and I just had to tie them into the battery down here. So it was really simple, actually. It was kind of time consuming to wire it all at one time, but you can see this is foam right here, and I don't know if you saw, it's around the perimeter. Like, that's some of the only stuff that you can see, but there's actually a complete cab seal kit in here that comes with the doors. When you buy full doors, Polaris gives you this cab seal kit, so you got to take a lot of the machine apart. You can't see most of the stuff that we put in. There's all kinds of little nooks and crannies that you stuff pieces of foam, or stick pieces of foam, and it took care of a lot of trouble spots, but they definitely left a lot on the table. There was a lot of other stuff that we had to seal ourselves. This is cruising down the road 50 miles an hour when it's 15 degrees out. It wasn't bad by any means, but I don't know. You can probably get the cab seal kit without the doors, and I never really looked into it, but I've always had this mirror. This was some, I don't remember, aftermarket something or other, whatever, but I had to make a little bracket to extend that down a little bit further in order to clear the stereo. But it was in a bad spot to begin with. You couldn't see very far back down the road behind you. It was too high. So, let me get this. I'm all over the place with the camera. Sorry. So you can see where this thing's a bugger to get in place, but that's the heater. There's a blower motor, and there's your heater hoses going down. The kit comes with a Spall blower, so it should hold up for a pretty good amount of time. I had to. There's normally a connector right here to go to my old winch lanyard, and then where it plugs into your relay, your solenoid or whatever. So I just put this little block here, got rid of the plug, cut the plug out or whatever, put end terminals on all of these so I could connect with the new wires for the new winch switch that's in the dash. So they'll both still work. Maybe if the winch switch in the dash fails or whatever, the original lanyard will still work with it. So the heater is pretty straightforward. You go back, and from the factory, they have a little bypass hose that comes from just under the thermostat and goes right back to the lower radiator hose where it's pulling it into the engine. So you just remove the factory bypass hose, and then you hook heater hoses up to both of those connections, basically. It isn't the hottest heat in the world by any means. It's not like, cooking you right out of the cab. And it's not all the heater. It's just a big piece of plastic. It's not very well insulated, so you can't expect too much out of it, I guess. But I'd like to get a little bit more performance out of this heater. And the one thing I notice is it doesn't move a lot of water. The engine doesn't when it's idling. So I've seen people use these small electric pumps that they're made to accept 5/8 hoses, and they're used in certain cars, probably for rear heat applications. And you can plug that into your feed line that comes off of your the thermostat housing, and have it so it turns on with the heater or something. And I've heard of a few people running those, and basically ensuring that there's coolant flowing through the heater core at a good rate all the time, even when it's idling. But I've heard a few people running them and having good luck doing that, so I might try that. And I got a few other, I don't know. I've already tried to put more heat into the engine. I don't know if you can see. I got this aluminum plate pretty much almost entirely blocking the radiator off. There's a little hole in the very center down there. They're just really efficient. It's an all aluminum engine, and when it's 15 degrees out, like it just doesn't even need the radiator. Like covering the radiator almost made no difference at all. The only difference it made is maybe maybe a little bit flying down the road like full throttle, but even then it didn't seem like it did all that much. So, because I was trying to trick the thing into getting a little bit more temperature into it, because it would run at 170 degrees or so when it was really cold, and that was about it. You couldn't get any more out of it. So you can imagine, a vehicle running at 170 degrees don't put out that great of heat, and this thing doesn't either. So I don't know. I'm going to keep tinkering with it. I even got a stupid idea. I got a gate valve and some big barb fittings that I was maybe thinking about putting in line with one of these radiator hoses and try and restrict the water flow. It'd be something that you have to constantly tamper with depending on the temperature outside. And if you forgot about it, you could definitely overheat it. You had a little warm up, and then you just took off running down the road. So I don't know. I haven't put it in there yet. I don't know if I'm 100% sure if I'm going to or not, but it's I can't complain. Like I said, it's not the best heat in the world, but you can't judge it by the same standard as a car. So just having the doors on it. I mean, shit. That's the majority of it. Getting out of the wind and the snow blowing around and all that. I mean, just the doors are just amazing. So back here, you have this is a new replacement air box. It's meant to go directly in place of the factory 570 plastic air box, which I don't know if any of you guys have 570 mid-size machines, but you know that the factory airbox is a piece of shit. It's plastic, and which is fine that it's plastic, but the seal between the two pieces is garbage. It's just it's a shit design, and it's cost. I mean, I've heard of dozens and dozens of engine failures with 570s. Complete top end failure. Needs a cylinder replaced, piston, cylinder head damage from ingestion, from crap getting into the engine. Partially to blame is the airbox. The airbox is just poor quality. It's garbage, and Polaris won't warranty them in most cases. I've heard of a few guys that got Polaris to rebuild their motor, but most of them they won't, because they chalk it up as abuse. So I got this airbox, and I've talked to quite a few people that have ran this thing, and they have a lot better luck with them. It's a lot better sealed and keeps the crap out of the engine. So we'll see how it works. And then down here, this is one of the most irritating things when you buy these machines, especially the mid-size. I guess I'm not as familiar with the full size, but this is wide open right here from the factory out of the gate. So you saw everything that was up under there, the battery, the PCM, the fuse panel, all of the critical wiring of the vehicle. It's all wide open. It's completely open. The back tire just blasting all of the critical electronics and electrical components in the vehicle. It's just asinine. So there's a few companies that make these. I like these ones. They look really good. They fit really well. And it cures that problem. The back tire is no longer blasting everything under the seat and just destroying everything under it. It just was a mess every time you'd go off road. So they do make them for the front as well, because you can see they hose down up under the hood, and they blast everything up in here too, because Polaris just they don't think you give them enough money for wheel wells, for Christ's sake. So I'm still debating on. I'm looking at all the and it may end up being something I just make myself. I don't know, but I have to do something up here. There's a void up in there that just gets packed full of crap. This is all open right here, so that's going right up in behind the dash, and these things they make a mess of themselves because they don't have proper shrouding. So some of the ones I was looking at, they have nice big panels that come up and kind of encompass this hole, and so I don't know, but it looks like something I might be able to make. The back ones, they were reasonably priced enough that I just figured, I'll give this guy some money. He does a good job. So, and he leaves a little drain hole there, or a little hole there, so you can get in to drain your CVT box. So yeah, it was really fun. I did, like I said, I did all of this at once. So the wife was freaking out because I just Amazon bombed the house. Like, I bought all of this in one sitting, and it was a riot. It was really cool. I'm not used to doing stuff like this. I'm usually working on old rickety garbage and throwing little parts at it here and there. So it was fun to be able to just take this nice new machine and buy a whole bunch of new parts for it, accessories and stuff, and I had more fun putting the stuff on than I did, the end result. and the end result is amazing now. Like I feel like I have something that is worthy of a payment year round. You know, I can use this thing all the time now. So I'm just stoked. I don't know. I guess let me know what you guys think. You guys have any questions? You know, regarding any of this stuff I put on. I've pretty well thoroughly researched. Like I said, I had a couple of years to think about all this stuff and which company to buy this from and which company to buy that from. You know, what to get aftermarket and what to get from Polaris. But I do strongly recommend the doors, if anything. They're you could buy a couple of cars, I think, for the price of these doors, but they are very nice. So yeah, that's about it on that thing. I think I've done modifying this thing indefinitely. I'm not putting bigger tires on it. I'm not lifting it. I'm not doing none of that crap. I think from this point forward, I'm not going to touch this thing. I'm just going to do preventative maintenance, throw tires and oil at it. You know, that's pretty much it, and see how long I can get this thing to hold up. And hopefully, I never got to buy another one. So, because I have no intention to. So, yeah, a little snippet on the boat. My phone's getting a little. So like I said, we got to work on the boat a little bit for about a week or so. The rest of these, all the rest of my little floor support panels are all in place, and you can see we got the stringers in there, and I added those supports. I had to push that center bar out, so there's kind of a bow in the transom now, not the top one, but this bottom one, in order to get the transom housing to engage with the pump, you know, as square as I could, because obviously it's not meant for the same angles and everything. So we didn't get a whole lot done on this thing, but it's mostly because I've been fighting with my frickin' welder. All of these floor panels, it was just grueling, just awful welds that had to be, every one of them had to be gone over and repaired, and I kept assuming that it was me. I was doing something wrong. For months, months and months, just coming in here and getting frustrated with this, and then playing with all these other pieces, these other chunks of aluminum over here, or whatever, random pieces, and just doing them over on the bench and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Like, I could not weld with the machine. I got so frustrated to the point where I fired up the spool gun again, which the boat is too thin for the damn spool gun. It's not. You just can't do it. So I ended up finally figuring out, long story short, that I had a gas leak right inside the frickin' nozzle of the torch. The gas lens that I had in there was not tight with the torch, the body of the torch, and the gas was just backing up around the outside of the threads, and it was not the whole time, which is exactly what how it was acting, like it was contaminated, because it was a shortage of shielding gas, and it ended up being exactly what it was. So the whole time I'm assuming it's me doing something wrong. It wasn't. It was the welder, like I always thought in the back of my mind. So now that I got that figured out, and I got back to making progress on the thing, we should be able to, the welds, they're not, they don't look like welds on a space shuttle, but they work. They're going to work great. So the next thing, now that we got this kind of a bulkhead piece in the front of this or whatever, we're going to start cutting the gussets to come from the stringers out on every one of those ribs all the way down. So basically the same as the outside right here. I'm going to run all the way down the outside of the thing, and that'll essentially be what holds the stringer in place. And then we're going to tie in from those down to the intake flange, just to the outside of the intake flange. And then after that, we'll be setting the motor in. So that's coming up here shortly. Now that the Ranger is all decked out, that's all done. We're going to be getting back after the boat because it's shitty outside. So the only thing I got to do is I got to get some more firewood because I'm just about out of firewood. So yeah, well, I don't know how many times I've said this about this boat project, but we're going to start making a lot more progress here shortly. I'm going to have to at some point get distracted, and the Jeep is going to have to get rolled in here. I hurt the transmission on the thing. I think I took out the output bearing in the Jeep tranny, so I don't blame the transmission one bit. I was not being kind to it at all at the time. I was severely abusing it, so I need to get that thing going again. I can't, it's bugging the hell out of me just sitting out in the side yard. So yeah, that's about that. I will hopefully be, it's been a long time since I did a video, so hopefully once I can get some progress going on this boat again, I'll start knocking out the videos here. The next one, I'll probably wait to make another video until this thing is sitting in the boat, because that's what I've been waiting for. So I'm not going to do any more stupid little bullshit progress videos until I can get the engine in the thing. Because that's like the most, I can't, after the structure is in there to hold the engine in place, after that I can't do anything until the engine is sitting in there. I need to know where it's going to sit to build everything around it. So yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think about the Polaris or the boat. And yeah, I guess we'll see you on the next video.